And thanks to all of you who are staying with us on the Joy News channel. This is the Pulse, but we're bringing you a special coverage from Birmingham being the national headquarters of the Ghana Armed Forces. But it's also serving as the platform which is hosting the Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff from the Economic Community of West African States. The background to that is that at the tail end of last month, the Presidential Guard in the Republic of Niger staged a military coup, overthrowing and deposing the democratically elected President Mohamed Bazoum. Now, when that happened, the sub-regional body ECOWAS issued a communique indicating that they were giving the military junta 1 week to hand over power and to reinstate the democratically elected President Mohamed Bazoum. That 1 week ultimatum failed because, first of all, attempts to dialogue and to negotiate with the military junta did not materialize. Fast forward, ECOWAS indicated that it was activating its military force by having all the West African countries that are in support of this military exercise deploy their troops by contributing the troops, and then the deployments will be done in the coming days to stabilize and to restore constitutional order. Is the reason for which the military chiefs are gathered here at the military headquarters of Birmingham, meeting over the past 2 days and deliberating on strategic ways by which they could go ahead with the deployment. For those of you who were watching us on the Joy News channel a couple of hours ago, we brought to you that breaking story of some citizens of Niger who earlier in the day stormed the embassy of the Republic of Niger, protesting and calling for the reinstatement of the deposed President Mohamed Bazoum. It was part of the demands that they made, and also condemning the military junta's attempt to hold on to power and to cut short the will of the people. This is where we are at the Birmingham station, and bringing you all of the analysis that you would need to have all throughout the day. I will have experts join us, also reps from the various military and also probably ECOWAS, which will be making a statement in a few hours from now. You can also see the live view of what's happening in that conference room, where a statement is expected in a moment from now. We'll be crossing you over to get that very final communique from the sub-regional body ECOWAS, but this is where we are bringing you all of the action and analysis on what has been transpiring over the past 48 hours. The national capital of Ghana, Accra, has become that pivotal point around which all of these ECOWAS, military chiefs are revolving around, coordinating strategic meetings. But it's unclear if this will be the military base or theater from which the ECOWAS standby force will be deployed. We're not sure of the terms of the deployment as well, and also ECOWAS says it is not ready to put out the timeline in terms of the deployment. These are matters all outstanding. What are the implications for the sub-region? There are issues that we'll be looking at very shortly. But let's first of all take you back a few hours ago, where of course we're at the embassy of the Republic of Niger, where citizens of Niger staged a demonstration in front of the embassy, calling on the military junta to hand over power to President Mohamed Bazoum. I was there a couple of hours ago, and here are excerpts of what transpired at the embassy of Niger here in Accra. It's simple that they do not support the military takeover of the democratically elected President Mohamed Bazoum, and it's the reason for which you find women and so many of them yelling.
We want Bazoum, we want him, he's a good president. And we don't want the milking of the soldier. We want Bazoum back, so they should bring him back for us.
Are you against the soldiers?
No, we don't like the soldiers because we will not see improvement in our country because of the youth. So we want the Bazoum back in our country. He's a good father, he's a father of all. So we want him back. And
that's the message that's resonating all across today, as you see so many of the, citizens of Niger registering their displeasure. So let's listen to their leadership.
So please, they should try for us. The people in Niger, the soldiers should drop down. They should give the president of the Niger people vote to him to power. They should bring the president back. So what we are saying, apart of Bazoum, we don't have any president in Niger because we need democracy. Africa is democracy. They give us democracy, freedom and justice. Everybody to talk, but we know this soldier law. So that's why we come to here. We are discussing the ambassador here. The people, they are giving noise. They should drop the soldier. We need the president back. The soldier, we not like soldier law because they no vote give the soldier. They vote for the president. The president is working for Niger. The president is working. He like the Niger people. What happened? Every place that you go see the president go say that my people, my people. So that's why we come to here to give a noise in the embassy.
But we've seen you people in the stadium supporting the military. Is that not an indication?
We know the people they are supporting the military. I think that is not that they are opposition. But we in democracy, we need democracy. Nobody that is going to follow the band that they no vote give the person. So far as they vote give the president, so that one that is the president for Niger. So even now, safe, if they say the soldier is president, who vote to the soldier? Nobody vote to him. That the coup that is make is wrong.
Now you are here. For how long will you be here? For how long do you intend to stay?
I born in Ghana here.
Yeah,
I born in Ghana.
So for how long?
I live in Ghana here. I born in Ghana about good 47 years. Right. I mean the age of 47 years. But since I know that they bring democracy for us, Niger is working in democracy. Even the all Africa, they can't give us democracy, so we follow democracy law. So that's why we came here. What happened in Niger, we here in the Nigerian, we don't like it at all.
The people here, how long will you stay? How long?
I think that someone stay here all by birth, more people by birth in Niger, but they are citizens in Ghana because so far as they're born here, but someone to came in Ghana.
I'm talking about the demonstration today. Will you stay here? Will you stay here?
We stay here about 3 days or 4 days.
You'll be here
in 3 days or 4 days or 1 week. We can do in demonstration anytime.
So you are behind what
ECOWAS
is doing, right?
We are hearing about what ECOWAS is doing. It's right. ECOWAS is supposed to follow the right to drop the soldiers because they don't have any right to come to bring the country is coming back. Now the country is come to zero.
But the concern is that people were already suffering in Niger under Mohamed Bazoum.
Yeah, so far as Niger to someone's come out inside. If you take Niger is 8 regions. 5 regions or 6 regions, all they come to give that they should bring the president back. Only the capital that we see some 4 people, they come to support the soldiers. They do not have any right to support the soldiers. We don't need soldier law to be present for us.
What message do you have to the coup leaders?
The coup leaders, the message that you have to them, they should go back. They should come to see them because they think that we know every country soldier supposed to follow the law of the country. So far as them to Bazoum Mohamed is their president, the coup that they make is not coup, it's kidnapping. It's not coup. Coup is not coming like this. The president is not doing any bad. The president is doing only good. So we are giving the soldiers, please, they should don't hungry about their people in Niger because now people they are suffering. So far as ECOWAS give us, they give us what is calling ECOWAS give. Nobody is enter, nobody is coming out. Now Niger people they are hungry. So far as ECOWAS is not working about what they are doing.
You're saying that you sleep here?
Yeah, we are sleeping here because of what happened. Now more people they are coming. Yeah, they are coming. We call them, they will come. Whether today we are doing, tomorrow they will come back. We're there here from now to night.
Just come along with me and let's get to know much more about what's happening. But if you're joining us now, this is the Joy News channel. For today, what petition do you have? Because I see that you have a paper that you'll be presenting to the commission. What will you be presenting to the commission?
The commission that, the thing that we go present to them, the embassy thing is under democracy. That's why we follow to come to the embassy. They should know that the soldiers that they make the coup, they didn't bring any embassy in Ghana here. Bazoum Mohamed is the president, is giving the commission to embassy. So we are supporting, we are not talking about the embassy, we are talking for the right of the Nigerian.
What is your name, by the way?
My name is Alhaji Sule Haruna.
Alhaji Sule Haruna, you're leading this group.
Yeah.
Now,
are you the for them for Greater Accra?
The point is, are you aware of what's happening in your own country?
Yeah.
The fact that people say you are not developed, you need development. That's why they.
That one, all they are lying. Today, everybody know. Since the government for President Muhammadu Isufu, good 12 years system. Everybody know the development of Niger. Niger, first like this, if you go to Niger, you go see more things that we don't have. But today, Niger is changed because we are civilized on Niger. Now, things is opening, things is doing right, everything is moving. The president is like him, country people, it's like everybody. So we can't allow the soldier people to come to sit for the seat. They said that they are president. We not like them today, we not like them tomorrow.
Some say that you are in Accra, you are in Ghana. So why are you concerned? I mean, you are safe. Nothing is happening to you.
Ghana here, Ghana is freedom and justice. Ghana democracy is working. Because Ghana, everybody, whether you are citizen or you are not citizen, Ghana, they like everybody. They like in democracy. So that's why Ghana, peace, freedom, and justice in Ghana here. So Ghana, that's why Ghana go forward. Ghana is moving, it's motherland, it's fatherland. Ghana is for everybody.
So that's what you want in your country too?
Yeah, that's what we want in our country too. Because who like soldier law? Who like?
Oh, you all want democracy?
We need democracy. That's why we come here. If a part of no democracy, we can't come here because it's not soldier law. So that's why we are here. So please, they should try for us.
But some say that what is happening is not making people safe. Are you not aware of that?
All that is their lying. Who that going to protect the country? The soldiers people, they're supposed to protect the people of the country. So far as the president buy everything for them, they buy guns, they buy army cars, they buy everything for them. They should wake up, they spread their country for us. But now, I'm exactly going to say something to you. Since that these soldier people come, about 7 times, they are killing the soldiers. You that you say that you drop the president, you that you say you drop the president because of things that is spoiling. But now that this is making land, this is making rough in Niger. I think that since they come is 2 weeks, get out to 3 weeks. They kill soldiers, almost 150 soldiers in Niger. But why you the soldier? Wake up to go fight the terrorists. Wake up to go fight the Boko Haram.
Let's have more people join us. There are some women also here.
Please, this is my mother. Yeah. Going to speak to Hausa.
I mean, looking at your age, you should have been at home. Why are you here? Why did you leave home to come and join the people?
I mean, English or Hausa.
Maybe you can help with the translation. So, I'm just asking.
My name is Hadiza to Isa, my father. I am a Nigerian, but I'm born in Ghana. We don't lack soldiers. We don't lack soldiers. We lack soldiers to go bush. Soldiers, we know them bush and camp. The soldier will not take present. We don't like soldier present.
So the message is clear. The message is that they don't want the military intervention. They want the military back in the barracks for democracy to be reinstated in their country. There are some leading figures.
Sai Bazoum su bar zababben shugaban kasa yayi muna mulki sun kashe muna kasa babu yau ba mu san su mulkin soja yau wala gobe.
So what is it?
He said that the soldier people should go back to the bush, and we don't want it in the country. They should go back. We want peace in our country.
I see. So that's the resounding message that we have here. Lots of people asking for democracy and asking people, of course, especially the military regime in Niger, to hand over power. That's the message that, all of the citizens of Niger who are gathered here, right opposite the Nigerian embassy, have been calling for, asking that they want the reinstatement of President Mohamed Bazoum. So you can see that's a picture of the deposed President Mohamed Bazoum, who is in your shot there. And the point is they want the reinstatement of Mohamed Bazoum as the president of the country. Let's engage some more persons who are here with us. Hello, sir. Good morning. I see that you were supposed to be in the office by now, but you've decided to come out. Why?
We don't need soldier. Soldier, we are in democracy. We need democracy. Africa, the whole Africa, we need democracy. Soldiers, we need this soldier. We don't want.
You don't want
this time. No.
But we saw them in the stadium. Lots of people came out to support them. Is that not an indication that they are working?
No. This one is a Kalibuli. It's not right. So now we need our president to come back in his seat, because what these soldiers did is kidnapping. It's no coup. So we need our president. We need Bazoum. Okay.
See, that's the message. They need President Bazoum back in power, and that's the message you find from the leadership of the group. And the message is one, that they want the reinstatement of President Mohamed. Well, so they're about to make a declaration. Let's just take that, and then we'll take that from them. Yeah.
I'm the one way to talk the declaration. Right? So vendredi 18 août 1983, depuis le 26 juillet 1923, notre pays, plus particulièrement notre parti, assiste impuissant à une remise en cause des institutions de la République, avec le sous-périlleux de certains individus à sa feuille du pouvoir et d'intérêt égoïsme. Prenez en otage le président de la République, Mohamed Bazoum, sa famille, ainsi que des leaders politiques, dont le président du parti, Foumaca Igado. La junte finance les manifestations en sa faveur pour légitimer une prise de pouvoir par la force. Pire, avec sa caution, les paisibles citoyens vivent dans la peur de vandalisme, d'attaques et autres intimidations, tout comme la junte fait subir au président de la République démocratiquement élu des pires des humiliations avec un isolement total. L'insécurité et le terrorisme, première conséquence de la prise d'otages, empêchant au président de la République, Mohamed Bazoum, d'exercer librement ses fonctions. En seulement 2 semaines d'entrave, du chef d'État, chef suprême des armées, nous avons enregistré des attaques complexes des terroristes sur des positions militaires qui ont fait tomber nos braves soldats, les FDS, et des civils tués sauvagement. Des localités comme Goubal, Wabila, Ondobon, Kantanga, Samira, Sanam et enfin tout récemment à Makolondi qui fait état de 17 soldats massacrés. Voici le bilan du général Chani. À cet effet, la section du PND Stareya Ghana apporte son soutien ferme au président de la République, Mohamed Bazoum, exige la libération sans condition de notre cher président et la restauration dans ses fonctions. Dénonce l'usage du titre du président de la République à un individu qui a suspendu la Constitution ainsi que toutes les institutions de la République. Demande à l'Organisation des droits de l'homme d'exiger la junte le respect des principes sacro-saints de la préservation de la dignité et de la personne humaine. Vive le président de la République, Alej Mohamed Bazoum. Vive le PND Stareya. Vive le Niger. Je vous remercie.
All right, so there you have it. Just trying to make sense of some of the issues that he's pointing out to, making the point, first of all, and asking that the preservation of the dignity of human people must be upheld. It's part of the message that was sent by, the Nigerian community here in Ghana. And I just want to quote portions of what has been said. And we can just engage the president of the community here in Ghana. Good morning to you, sir.
Morning.
Why are you not happy about what's happening?
Right.
So you do the translation for us. Why are you not happy about what's happening today?
That's what we know happened. You see, President Mohamed Bazoum is an humble man. He's a good man. We not get president like Mohamed Bazoum. If Mohamed Bazoum stay in Niger like 10 years, all Niger go develop. But how the soldier come and destroy Niger, we not like.
You don't like it?
I not like. My people do not like. Nigerian people do not like.
Is that affecting your business, onion business?
But it affects everything. Because now, say, if you go take a goose for Niger, you won't come. Now the goose there for border, they come. Plenty people lost money. Plenty people lost in business. Then the person can't, their hand empty. He can't poor man because of the cruise of the border. Who bring that in? Only be the soldier we bring up. Niger, we don't enjoy. Everything is cheap. Food is cheap. But the soldier come now, food is cost. Electricity, no electricity. It cross border. Nothing no go inside. Nothing no they move for Niger now.
What's your message to your people in Niger?
My people for Niger, make them support Bazoum Mohamed. Make it come back. They talk to the soldiers to make them to listen, to hand over the power give to Mohamed Bazoum. Only Bazoum go solve Niger people problem. But no be soldier. Soldier no go fit solve Niger problem.
People say Bazoum is not good.
Bazoum is very good. It's politics. Bazoum is very good. Me tell you say Bazoum is good. Bazoum don't have any problem. He like everybody. You don't have a racism. If you like only Nigerian, it's good, very good. If Bazoum not good, me I no go come stay here and talk say make Bazoum come back.
What's your name, sir?
My name Alhaji Ali Dumbai.
Alhaji Ali.
Chairman of Pendes Taria for here Ghana.
Alhaji, thank you so much for talking to us. So many of them are still here. Gentlemen, there's a young gentleman with us here. Let's also engage him. Good morning to you, sir. So I see you're not happy about the coup.
Yes, we gather here that we are not happy what is going in Niger because of the soldier making the coup Chinese. What is going is not fair. It's not right because people make voting to bring Bazoum to be their president. Now he take the gun, bring Bazoum down. He want to be president. That is not right. If Ghana will bring president, everybody will be president because.
But they say that you the young people. They say you the young people. You don't have job in Niger, so the military want to create a better economy for you.
Okay. That one I have question for you on that matter. Okay, for only this year that the young boys they don't have working in Niger or for long because for him he working with Isif Muhammad. He's the bodyguard for him. Okay. So at that time, the young people, they have working or they don't have. That's what I'm asking. Okay. He said,
so it's not true.
It's not true. It's not true. Everybody know you are Ghanaian. How many Niger people, young people, you see here for long? Even 10 years back, you don't see them. You see them here. Okay. He's the one cause problem more than all the president in Niger. Because no president come in Niger, they close the borders. No president come in Niger that they close the airport. No food is going. No medicine is going. People are dying for hunger. Yesterday I asked some man in Niger side, he's selling food. I asked him how much is the millet, the bag. Millet, one bag. That is 33,000 sefa.
33,000 sefa. So the goods are not coming. The goods are not coming into Ghana.
They are not coming. They are not coming. They are not coming. They are not going. So how can you say you love people? That's why you come. If I say I love you, but I will keep you, you will not have food. Can you agree with that? I don't think that will make sense.
What message do you want to send out here?
What the message that I want to send them to that? Truly, they should let Bazoum come back because Bazoum is the president that everybody make voting to bring him. Okay. But the military, if you get go and fighting with the jihadis. We get the jihadis plenty. Even you say Niger is not peaceful, you come, they kill more than 200 people.
So that
what is more than that?
I see. And that's a message from the young man there. But let's speak to Alhaji, who's also present.
Salamu alaikum. Abin da ya samu ku zo nan saboda gaskiya Allah ba mu son mulkin sojan nan. Bazoum muke so. Bazoum muka so a yi hankuri a maida shi don gaskiya ba mu jin daɗi. Abin da kun ga ya zo nan ga ko rabi ma bai zo ba ta kuna. Kowa da kowa Bazoum yake so. Sojan ya san Allah ya san koma kam.
We don't want.
And we're live on the Joy News channel. Thanks to all of you who've been staying with us throughout the period. This is our special coverage of the meetings that are just about wrapping up. A committee of the chiefs of defense staff who have been engaging about the possible activation of an ECOWAS force. We know that in a few moments from now, a communique will be issued by the sub-regional body, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, which is indicating its readiness to deploy the military contingent into the Republic of Niger. We do not know what the final decision will be, but any moment from now we'll be giving you a live feed of that address that will be done publicly to engage the media on the way forward. As to the time, we're not sure of the time when this deployment will be done, but we have confirmed from the sub-regional body, ECOWAS, that indeed the military will be on standby and all countries will be contributing their troops once the word go is given. So we'll be engaging some of the experts who are here with us, our guests who are also joining us to do the discussion. In a few moments from now, we will definitely get to know what the outcome will be. When we started, Ambassador Fattah was with us. Today, fortunately, we have him joining us back again. And it's been a very busy schedule for you, Ambassador, I believe, because you've been quite busy, right? It's been a busy schedule for you.
Quite.
Yes.
Yeah. Quite, but satisfying. Yeah.
Yesterday, when we were interacting with you, you indicated to us that there was a unity of purpose, a sense of unity on your part, and you saw that through across, all the chiefs of defense staff were engaging in this meeting. Has anything changed over the last 48 hours?
No. Even it is beyond even our expectation. All the member states have committed, something very concretely, all of them. And yesterday, we had the arrival also of Guinea-Bissau, to join us. Oh, really? Oh, yes. So everybody is here, and everybody has committed something, for the mission. So we are very pleased with it, yeah. But like I said, this is a plan B, okay? We are ready, but we still give peace a chance. We want them to come forward with very concrete, sort of proposal for a peaceful resolution of the crisis. Yeah, and that begins by them receiving a mission from ECOWAS.
Now, you were pointing out to me that the military regime, was not willing to engage the envoys that ECOWAS deployed. Do you get a sense that they're changing their minds now?
Yes, over the last couple of days, we've already received assurances that they are ready to receive a mission, so we'll take them at their word. Okay.
That's a new development.
That's a new development, yeah. That they are ready to engage and we will oblige them. So that is it. All we want is to make sure that the right thing is done, constitutional order is restored. We don't want to go the military route, right? So we are giving every opportunity for the peaceful option to work. Yeah, and yeah. So what I would say is that there is so much orchestrated and organized resistance, and everybody is focusing on the military option. This is not the preferred option of ECOWAS. Okay, so I would appeal to the media and all people who actually love the region, the regional integration, to wait for official information from the ECOWAS Commission and not be tempted by, this social media, this. And when this meeting was postponed last week, they said, the Asantehene told President Nana Akufo-Addo that Ghana should never take part in this, so, others are saying that the Nigerian Senate has rejected the The president of Nigeria has never requested authorization from the Senate. But we have people saying the Nigerian Senate has rejected it. In Ghana, they say Otumfuo has rejected it. These are all fake news. It's all elements of fake news. And then, just trying to deceive people and then to present ECOWAS like a warmongering institution.
Okay, now the opportunity is here. At least we have you joining us for a conversation, so you are in a position to either confirm or deny some of the reports that we're hearing. Yes. We're hearing of a date that you have arrived at to deploy the force. Is that correct?
No, that is not correct. We have not arrived at a date to deploy the force, and I'm not going to speculate on it. That is not our decision, right? These are the military chiefs of the region who are meeting. You see, when you are going into a military operation, there are plan B, plan A, plan C, and others. And you choose the scenario depending upon development. So I cannot tell you that we've chosen a day to, that is an ambiguity we'll always keep, okay? And it is up to the heads of state, because this report will definitely go to the heads of state one way or the other. And depending upon the outcome of our diplomatic engagement, then we can activate, the whole operation. Okay, so it is there as a as a reserve plan. Yeah, we are not just saying that, oh, after Accra, we are just already, the tanks are going to start rolling.
Let's talk about the contribution of the troops. The defense minister indicated to me at the time the UK foreign minister arrived in Ghana that Ghana stands ready to, commit its troops to this exercise. Are you getting, the same commitment from other countries, and what are the numbers looking like?
I think I've already answered that question. Yeah. We've gotten concrete commitment from all the member states.
You haven't put a figure out?
Yeah, we have the figures, we have everything, but I'm not going to tell you.
But you need to be transparent. This is the ECOWAS. You're funded by taxpayers.
Yes.
Why are you not being transparent about it?
No, we are not, because we don't want to give the enemy advance information as to our intentions, as to our capabilities. We know their capabilities. I think we are keeping ours as a top secret, it's a military secret. So what I can tell you is that we have adequate forces to carry out the operation if need be.
How about the cost? $2.3 billion at the last check we did. What's the cost from your perspective? You don't want to doubt the figures.
No, listen, the 2.3 billion that you are talking about, it was not for the operation in Niger. The 2.3 billion is for the first year's operation of the ECOWAS standby force for the counter-terrorism operation. This is a different thing. This is what I'm saying. In fact, the events in Niger have already distracted from what was the original plan of ECOWAS. We were already activating the kinetic force to fight terrorism, to help these same countries fight terrorism, and then this coup occurred. So our attention has been diverted. The 2.3 billion was the estimated cost of a year's operation of the kinetic force to fight terrorism. Yeah, and like I said yesterday, this mission is going to be backstopped by contingent-owned equipment. Every country.
So 2.3 billion is not accurate. Is that your point?
Well, it could be 2.3 billion. It could be 3 billion. It could be, anything. But the thing is that we have adequate resources to make sure that we can sustain an intervention for the period that the chiefs of defense staff have decided. We have enough resources.
Okay. The meeting is about wrapping up. We understand there will be a communique, so you have some foreknowledge. What are the marching orders now after the meeting wraps up?
The chiefs of defense staff meetings do not conclude with communiques. No. Right. Yeah, so we are going to meet the press and then give them the broad outlines of what the meeting has been. In terms of the report of the meeting, it goes straight to our heads of state. That is an operational secret, strategic secret, within ECOWAS. That is not going to be divulged under no circumstances.
So you have briefed, in other words, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and, I believe, your host country, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo?
All the heads of state who have committed, and it is all of them, will have copies of this. They have got a way of communicating among themselves, and then, together with the chiefs of defense staff, and whose chair today is General Christopher Gwabin Musa of Nigeria. Yeah, so he is like our commander-in-chief right now, right? Yeah, so he will present it to the heads of state. The host country, of course, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is a very senior member of the heads of state fraternity in the region. He was for 2 years the chair of the ECOWAS authority, so he is very much committed to this. That is why all these stories about, Ghana is not going, this has done this. This is all fake news. So we are determined.
Ambassador, let's wrap up with the concerns in relatively stable democracies such as Ghana. Just this morning, outside the embassy of the Republic of Niger, some of the Nigerians massing up in front of the embassy and demanding the reinstatement of President Mohamed Bazoum. Is that still on the table for ECOWAS as you move in, as you have indicated, to dialogue with the military regime?
We are going to have this dialogue. We've never shut the door to dialogue, right? But like I told you, the social media give the impression that Niger is a monolith. Everything is smooth. There are fissures, even within the country, today. So army generals are being dismissed in the country. Those who don't support the regime are being, sidelined.
And this is based on whose account?
Whose account? Yeah. We have our intelligence. We have our intelligence on the ground. And this is what is happening. And then terrorism, there is an uptick in terrorism since the takeover. You might have seen that about 27 or so soldiers were killed, with several others wounded. This was not the case a few months ago. So you can see all the sort of negative forces in the country, terrorist groups and others, are taking advantage of the confusion, in the country. Yeah. And you should also remember one thing. People say the other countries in the region are supporting them. Have you heard, a country like Guinea siding with Burkina Faso and Mali and say that the three of us support this and that? You haven't heard that. So Guinea is not here because automatically Guinea is under sanctions because of the coup. And we are also encouraging them to, sort of move towards restoration.
So what message do you have for the Nigerians who are protesting in Ghana today?
Well, of course, that is the beauty of democracy. They have to demonstrate. That is it. So that is why we are telling, these military people that you, the presidential guard, who is supposed to keep watch over the president, you go and capture a helpless president who is under your care, and then you label that as a revolution, as an insurrection. This is just the
okay, I thought that would have been the last one, but I was engaging with the Chief of Staff of Niger, the deposed Chief of Staff, last night. He indicated that the international community, and by extension ECOWAS, recognizes only President Mohamed Bazoum and his government. Is that the case?
ECOWAS recognizes the president of Mohamed Bazoum, and we still consider that we have a hostage situation in the country.
But that may be an affront to the military regime.
An affront? What they have done is the affront to
they've appointed new officials.
We don't recognize them, and they are all going to be under sanctions. All of them. Civilian, military, whoever touches the regime will be sanctioned. This is what we are saying. If you are talking about effrontery here, it is they actually, being the offenders, flouted their constitution, flouted protocols, a country that was probably the better of all the Central Sahelian countries in terms of ethnic diversity, managing diversity, in terms of even fighting terrorism and other things. And then, so what is the justification? We've seen in other places where civilian regimes have been overthrown based on the fact that they are not able to deal with security. And since the military came, insecurity is rather cascading across the country. So this is the irony of it. The military, which should fight terrorism, is overthrowing a civilian government because terrorism is spreading in the country. So what is their primary role? Is it politics or is it defense of the territory? Final word? That ECOWAS is very determined to reverse the contagion of coup d'etats in the region and to uphold the protocols of ECOWAS. And we are very determined and we are on that path. So Niger is no exception. And we'll make sure the situation there is reversed.
I'm grateful, Ambassador. Thank you.
Thank you.
For spending some time with us. And you're still live on the Joy News channel. We're coming to you live from the Burma camp, which is serving as that base for this Aboriginal body ECOWAS, and their chiefs of defense staff were holding their meeting right here. I have joining us now Mukhtar Momoni Mukhtar, who is a security analyst and also the executive director for the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism. Mukhtar, it's good to have you with us.
Thank you.
We just heard from Ambassador Fattah, who has, of course, made the pronouncement that a lot has changed. This is the very first time we're, in fact, hearing about it, that a lot has changed in the last 48 hours. And the affirmation now is that the military regime in Niger is willing to talk. How is that coming to you?
Well, for me, that is refreshing to hear from Ambassador Musa that there's a new, dynamic, that's changing. And this is refreshing to all of us. And I'm very pleased that we're moving, we're moving somewhere. We're getting somewhere with diplomacy instead of the seeming obsession with the military intervention that we've been engaged in the last couple of weeks. And so I'm very happy, and I'm hoping that glimmer of light that we're seeing in terms of diplomacy, I think they have to shift focus in terms of focusing on that, to see how we can expand that channel to avoid the military situation that we've been very, very interested in.
But this is what's interesting. ECOWAS says now the military junta is willing to talk. And at the same time, they do not recognize some of the decisions taken by the military. That's strange, isn't it?
Of course, in principle, ECOWAS has to clearly state their abhorrence to this July 26th action in Niger, and that everything that comes with it, all the elements that come with this action, is deemed illegitimate. And so, in principle, ECOWAS does not recognize any action taken by this military regime in place. And so it's in order that he shows that clearly, that ECOWAS does not recognize, the appointments that have been made, the decisions that have been made. And so, it is in order. But at the same time,
making that statement just hours after, deciding to negotiate with the military team is not fair.
We should not overemphasize on those things, because those things undermine the goodwill that is required to ensure that diplomacy works. Maybe he could have avoided that, because when you do that, you further deepen, the cracks that has prevented you from getting audience with the military leadership. If you remember, in several days, the last few days, I have been making commentary on this and trying to explain why we haven't had a way with diplomacy. It's because the initial response of ECOWAS included the element of a no-fly zone and military intervention, which was a complete departure from what ECOWAS has done in the previous 3 occasions. And when you do that, especially emphasizing on that in subsequent conversations, it creates a situation of ill will or lack of good faith in terms of the other party in negotiations. So this element, the element of discrediting the decisions of the military leadership, can have that effect on negotiations.
Let's talk about the protest that we witnessed at the Nigerian embassy earlier today. What do you think is necessitating this? Because these are Nigerians. None of their counterparts has been harmed, killed, injured. The military regime says, well, things are going on as usual. So why should they be worried? Why should they be hosting this protest? You feel it's on good grounds?
Of course. If you're a citizen, not only the citizens of Niger, but several people, millions of people within the sub-region are concerned about the potential military situation in Niger. And I think all of us have to be very concerned about what can potentially happen if we engage militarily. And so it's in order that it is understandable that they will feel, encouraged to stage a protest of this nature to ensure that, the actors within the region are listening to them and could step back from engaging in military action.
And of course, you are the executive director for the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism. Your network's expanding to Niger. What details or information or intelligence would you say you're picking on the current political situation as we see?
First of all, there is no any insecurity situation in Niger from the the information we are picking up on the ground. There isn't any situation of insecurity or attacks. People are going about largely normal their daily lives. But people are very anxious about what ECOWAS's decision would be from this engagement that has, that began yesterday. They are very anxious of a potential military situation, intervention in Niger. And what we are picking up is that there's the potential of a backlash on citizens of ECOWAS countries that are part of this action that could take place. And that prominently includes Ghana and Nigeria.
You fear reprisals on Ghanaian citizens, nationals?
The situation. These are things people have mentioned that it could happen, and it's actually something that is prepared for. If ECOWAS announces today that there's going to be military action in Niger, and there are indications of preparations, we're going to see reprisals, in Niger against Ghana
and I'm just wondering what the options will be for instance, Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Nigeria and the likes of President Akufo-Addo, who's hosting, obviously, as the head of state for the Republic of Ghana now, knowing that there's a new development. The military junta is willing to talk now. Should these West African leaders be rescinding the earlier decision, the earlier stance to going with force and to restore constitutional order?
So I don't want to focus on the inconsistencies and seeming contradictions in terms of some of the communications that is coming out. But as it is now, we are very excited. I'm personally excited that there is that sense that ECOWAS and military leaders are willing to engage. And so what the leadership needs to do is to help expand that window of diplomacy to ensure that we focus all our energies and all our expertise in trying to make diplomacy work. And that can help us avoid the military intervention option that we're looking at right now. But of course, if I were in the position of ECOWAS, this would not immediately translate into stepping back from, deploying or using the military intervention as an option. I would ensure that I put in all the necessary measures and the logistics that are required to ensure that when things get set for deployment, we would be in a good position to do that. But I do not favor the option of military intervention. But of course, I do not support the military action by the military leaders in Niger. We need to use diplomacy and use all peaceful means to ensure that we reverse the events of 26th of July.
I see, and I don't know where you're watching us from, but some showers here, probably showers of blessings, leading possibly to the announcement that we're just receiving from Ambassador Fattah that they are willing to talk. But let's talk about the capacity of ECOWAS if indeed things reverse, the situation turns around, and the decision is to go in with force. Do we have the capacity, as he is asserting, that ECOWAS will go in fully funded, and they would, of course, support and contribute their own troops?
The ideas or the actions of war, it goes beyond just the financial aspects of it. It goes beyond that. In the last few days, we've had a lot of numbers that have been put around, bandied around in terms of capacity. And we're looking at numbers that, of course, if put together, are significant in principle to engage, effectively in Niger. But I tell you, it goes beyond numbers. If you look at what happened in Afghanistan since September 11th, America has deployed over 700,000 forces in there. The overall numbers, we're looking at a little over 1 million people. But the outcomes have been very, very disastrous. We've had similar situations of military interventions, in the last, maybe in the last 15 years, 10 situations of military engagements that have not been that effective. It doesn't really matter what the numbers are. It goes beyond that. You have to look at the issues of goodwill and legitimacy. How willing are how much goodwill does this action, provoke from the local population? Today, as we speak, I can tell you within Niger, within the entire West African space, including even Nigeria and Ghana, this action does not command enough legitimacy and goodwill from the local population. And the same would translate into the forces who would directly engage. They would not have enough, goodwill, to withstand any, potential consequences that come from engagement. So it goes beyond that. And we have to look at the bigger goal, the bigger picture. What are the potential consequences of, the fallout? What is the magnitude of it in terms of capacity to destruct and to destroy? We've been told that the objective of this exercise is to have President Bazoum reinstalled. But is that all there is to this intervention? What are the operational objectives of the intervention? If you are not clearly certain, if you can't define clearly what the operational objectives are, you have a potential situation of what we call in military terms, mission creep. Mission creep is a situation where, you go beyond your intended original objectives and duration of operation. And that can lead that into very catastrophic consequences that we saw in the situation of Iraq and Afghanistan and Libya today. it's far beyond what was originally intended. So there was no resources to further sustain that operation.
And that's Mukhtar Mouni Mukhtar, Executive Director for the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism. This is the Pulse on the Joy News channel. We're coming to you from Burma camp. In a few minutes from now, we'll be hearing that announcement or a press briefing by ECOWAS. But I must also point out that yesterday we got wind of that information, crucial one, of course, that the Chief of Staff of Mohamed Bazoum was able to escape the coup d'etat. He was, in fact, at the center of the events when they were happening. He made his way into Nigeria and subsequently has found his way into Ghana. I caught up with the Chief of Staff of President Mohamed Bazoum last night here in Accra. He had some deep revelations about how the president is also faring as of now and what he thinks about the military intervention in Niger. Probably we could just take a listen to that interview with the Chief of Staff of Niger. He's now deposed. He says he's still at post. So we'll listen to that interview. I will get back to Mukhtar Mouni Mukhtar for his thoughts. Let's listen in. I'll ask you how you're doing, because obviously things are not too well for you and the Nigerian public. But let's start off with how you made it into Ghana. What was your story? How did you leave Niger, even when the coup happened, when you were in that country? How did you run for your life and to make it right into the Republic of Ghana?
Thank you for everything. But before answering your question, I want to correct something.
Right.
I'm not the former Chief of Staff. I'm the Chief of Staff of the President of the Republic of Niger.
You don't accept that you've been deposed?
Mohamed Bazoum, who is still the elected President of Niger, then is not the former President. He is the President of the Republic of Niger, the elected one. This attempt to depose him is still ongoing, and it will finish in
So you don't even accept that you've been deposed?
No. Bazoum is still the President of the Republic of Niger, recognized by all the countries in the world, except, of course, Mali and Burkina Faso, that are in the same situation.
But you can't go back home now because your president is no more. There's a new prime minister, there's a new cabinet.
Il n'y a pas de Premier ministre, il n'y a pas de nouveau cabinet, tout ça est nul et de nul effet. Le président Mohamed Bazoum est le président de la République du Niger est le seul président de la République du Niger reconnu par tous.
So basically what he's trying to say, and for those of you who may not understand, is that they do not accept being the former chief of staff. He does not, first of all, accept that there's a new cabinet. He does not accept that there's a new president. He does not accept that there's a new leader of the Nigerian people. All he accepts right now is the fact that there is only one president in the Republic of Niger, and that is President Mohamed Bazoum, who was democratically elected. Now, I'm going to ask you about President Mohamed Bazoum, because I need to ask you how he's doing right now, how he's faring. After the coup d'etat happened, you were there trying to fight back. It didn't work, so you left, but he's being detained now. How is he feeling now as we speak?
Le président de la République va très bien. Il a le moral très haut et il est prêt à se battre pour la démocratie, pour la liberté, pour la justice au Niger. Donc le président de la République va très bien, il a le moral très très haut. Certes, les conditions de vie sont déplorables parce que depuis l'événement du 26 juillet, la junte a mis tout en œuvre pour le démoraliser, pour le faire ramener à un état réduit, mais c'est sans compter sur sa force morale. Donc le président de la République va très bien.
Okay, so basically he's making the point that when you talk about President Mohamed Bazoum, he's in high spirit, good spirit. In fact, morally, his morale is high. He's not down or, you know, dampened. His spirit is not dampened by the fact that there's a new military junta that is controlling the country, except to say that he's been detained. And naturally, when you're detained, your rights are restricted. You do not have the right to move. You do not have the right to make certain natural, you know, adjustments which he would have done when he was head of state. So that is the only confinement in which he finds himself, except to say that he still believes that he's the president of the republic and is in good spirit. I guess that's the point, the import of the point you're making. Now, you're saying that he's in good health. If he's in good health and is in a high morale, he's been deposed by the military junta, and we've seen the military junta receiving a lot of support. I don't know if it's just my impression, but they seem to be receiving a lot of support. You take a look at when the coup happened, they staged a rally at a stadium, and in that stadium, lots of people filling up the stadium to capacity. It does suggest that there's just something right with this coup d'etat and the military regime that is controlling. People appear to be supporting them. Is that not the case?
Sur ça, ce que je veux vous dire, d'abord, sachez que dans des situations comme ça, c'est toujours le populisme qui prend le dessus sur tout ce qui est rationnel. Alors, donc, la junte nigérienne n'a pas fait exception. Quand il y a eu le coup d'État, la vraie manifestation s'est tenue le premier jour du coup d'État. Il y avait eu une manifestation spontanée. Moi, j'étais dans la manifestation, j'avais conduit cette manifestation. C'était des milliers et des milliers de Nigériens qui étaient sortis pour dire non au coup d'État. Ils ont tiré à balles réelles sur les gens. 4 personnes étaient sévèrement blessées. C'est ce qui a démotivé les gens ce jour-là. Après, eux-mêmes, pour se donner bonne conscience, ils ont organisé un simulacre de manifestation où ils ont pris toutes les nouvelles recrues des militaires, les nouvellement recrues, et leurs familles qu'ils ont habillées en t-shirt. Certains d'ailleurs n'ont pas eu le temps de se déshabiller, d'enlever leur habit militaire pour mettre leur habit civil quand ils sont venus à la manifestation. Et si vous regardez, quand ils ont attaqué l'ambassade de France, celui qui a été blessé au pied, que vous voyez dans les manifestations qu'on avait prises, c'est un colonel-major de l'armée. Donc, les manifestants ne sont pas des gens, des civils qui sont contents, la plupart qui sont contents du régime militaire.
Why are you arguing so? Why so?
Parce que c'est ce que je veux de vous dire. La plupart des manifestants, quand vous regardez même à la télévision, ils ont encore le treillis militaire, le t-shirt militaire. Et celui qui a été blessé à l'ambassade de France le jour où ils ont fait la grande manifestation, parce que la riposte a fait que les gens étaient obligés de tirer des gaz lacrymogènes sur eux. Il y a un qui était blessé au pied, c'était un colonel-major de l'armée. Donc ça veut dire que la plupart des manifestants, ce sont des éléments, les nouvelles recrues de l'armée qu'ils ont fait sortir. Ça c'est un premier point. Le deuxième point, sachez que le Niger compte 8 régions.
Ouais.
Parmi les 8 régions, c'est uniquement Niamey où il y a eu des manifestants. Dans toutes les capitales, c'est l'opposition qui est forte en Afrique. Principalement au Niger, l'opposition est très forte à Niamey. Donc ils ont fait sortir les militants de l'opposition. Le parti politique de l'opposition du leader Hama Amadou qui est à Paris actuellement, il a écrit une lettre pour demander à ces gens de sortir pour soutenir la manifestation. Donc voilà la manifestation de Niamey. Mais quand vous regardez les médias, quand vous regardez les télévisions, vous voyez que dans tous les pays, dans toutes les autres régions, nos gens ont manifesté, y compris à Niamey, où ils ont été tirés à balles réelles.
So basically the point the former chief of staff is making is that we should disregard what is happening on the televisions as we see it, and also making the point that what we have is that the military is just inviting people to create the impression as though they have legitimacy, but they do not have legitimacy based on what we're seeing on the screens, and that they are just bringing their cronies and bringing people who align with them to fill the stadium. So we shouldn't believe what we're seeing on the television. Beyond that, the second point is that Niamey is the smallest region out of the 8 regions that we have in the Republic of Niger, except to say that when you take a look at all of the regions in the Republic of Niger, Niamey is the smallest, although it is the capital. Now that side has a lot of support from the opposition political parties, and we had leading figures of the opposition political parties that incited the public against President Mohamed Bazoum, a reason for which it is creating the impression as though nationally there is support for the military, except to say that in the capital, as we speak, they do not have support or legitimacy. So that's the point you're making. Now ECOWAS says that they want to go in and to intervene in this military regime or coup d'etat that we've seen in the Republic of Niger. There is a question as to whether or not you believe in that intervention. Lots of criticisms against the decision to intervene. Do you support that move as, you know, someone who's worked closely with President Mohamed Bazoum? Do you feel that force is the way to do this, by ECOWAS deploying a force to deal with this?
Merci pour cette question. Déjà, la première chose que je vais vous dire, la CEDEAO a pris ces mesures pas de gaieté de cœur. Et c'est des mesures légitimes et légales. La CEDEAO, dans sa constitution, dans ses statuts et ses règlements, prévoit l'usage de la force en cas de renversement d'un régime démocratiquement élu. Donc la CEDEAO a bien, dans son rôle, en imposant des sanctions contre la junte et aussi en brandissant la menace d'utilisation de la force. Ce qui est tout à fait normal parce que, comme je le disais, ça fait partie des statuts. Aujourd'hui, si la junte abandonne son projet de prendre le pouvoir par la force, la CEDEAO va abandonner toutes les sanctions et la force ne sera pas utilisée. Mais comme vous le constatez, ici, la CEDEAO est prête à intervenir et ce n'est pas de la blague. Ceux qui doutent, je crois qu'à partir de cet instant, doivent arrêter de douter et savoir que la CEDEAO est très sérieuse et que si la junte ne revient pas sur son projet de renverser le régime démocratiquement élu, l'intervention aura lieu comme ça a eu lieu déjà dans plus de 4 pays. Il y a eu la Gambie, il y a eu la Côte d'Ivoire, il y a eu Sierra Leone, il y a eu le Libéria. Donc ce n'est pas pour la première fois que la CEDEAO va intervenir. Et j'aimerais profiter de votre antenne aussi pour dire à ceux qui pensent que c'est une guerre contre le Niger, ce n'est pas une guerre contre le Niger. De la même façon que le coup d'État n'est pas une opération militaire compliquée, le contre-coup d'État de la CEDEAO aussi ne sera pas une opération militaire compliquée ou bien une guerre contre le Niger. Il n'y aura pas de guerre contre le Niger. La CEDEAO va intervenir et je peux vous assurer qu'il n'y aura aucune victime, que ce soit civile ou militaire. Ils vont abandonner leur projet.
Okay. My colleague Winston Amoa is also listening in. Winston, you want to come in now to explain what he said? Well, so you're still with us on the Joy News channel. This is The Pulse, and we're coming to you live from Burma camp, where ECOWAS is, rounding off that meeting, which is happening basically because of the political situation in Niger. A committee of chiefs of defense staff from the West Africa sub-region are converging right in the building where we are now, waiting for that final announcement of what the possible outcome of that meeting will be. The sub-regional body says it is activating its standby military force to restore constitutional order after the President Mohamed Bazoum was ousted. And the demand now is for the reinstatement of President Mohamed Bazoum. And after his reinstatement, ECOWAS says it is now willing to engage on the matter. But we're just waiting for that final confirmation on what the marching orders will be after 48 hours of, dialogue and, talks between the chiefs of defense staff from across the West Africa sub-region. I still have our guest joining us in our makeshift studio. Probably it's not a studio precisely, but we're just managing that for now. We'll be crossing over into that hall where the announcement will be made shortly. But I still have Mukhtar Mukhtar with us here. Mukhtar, we're just coming back from watching that interview with Djibo, who happens to be the deposed chief of staff for the Republic of Niger. He's making a number of claims, first of all. The issue about the military junta and whether or not they have legitimacy. He seems to argue that if you look at the number of regions that we have in Niger, there are 8 of them. Niamey is the national capital, except to say that it's the smallest region within, Niger. Is that a claim that worth exploring from the opposition?
Well, first of all, in war situations, the communications around war situations are often laden with propaganda from all parties involved. And so to say that the military leadership in Niger doesn't have legitimacy, of course, is what is to be expected, because this is a leadership that has been installed through the use of force, through the use of might, to, these two democratically elected governments. And so on that score, it's in order to say they do not have legitimacy in terms of, being elected or otherwise. Right. But legitimacy goes beyond just electing people. Legitimacy also has to do with mass appeal. How many people, what level of goodwill and support do you enjoy from the people or from the local population? Right. That is a big element of legitimacy. Mm-hmm. And we have seen scores of people since 26th of July protesting on the street in support of the military leadership in place. We've seen people beyond Niger who have demonstrated their support for the military leadership in place. It doesn't mean that there are no cracks within the system. There are definitely elements within Niger who do not support this at all. But what we have seen so far indicates clearly that they are in support of it. And in fact, days after that, when we had, the sanctions read out and we had Nigeria actually cut power supply to them, it was meant to weaken the resolve of the coup leaders, but and also create disaffection within the local population against them. And in fact, it has actually bolstered the support for the military leadership. And that is what is usual in all cases of military intervention or war kind of situations. The leaders in war kind of situations can use situations, to bolster support, to garner support from the local population. That's what is actually playing out right now. And I think I've listened to you earlier in the day, and even yesterday, I had information in there that a lot of citizens are willing, to support the military leadership if there is any kind of military action in Niger. And that is a huge vulnerability, element for all of us, because there's a potential that grassroots elements could be transformed into rebel-type groups to support the military leadership in place in Niger. And those elements should be part of the conversations when we're looking at the military option.
We're seeing signs that we're inching closer and closer to the end of the 48 hours marathon engagement between the chiefs of defense staff. I'm sure that any moment from now, an announcement will be made. But let's stay on the claims of Jibo, because very serious claims. The whereabouts of President Mohamed Bazoum and the mood in which he is now, it does suggest that Bazoum is not worried about what's happening. Some say it's because he knows the world is backing him, the international community is still with him. They, are finding some safe haven in the cocoon of ECOWAS and the international community, which is, backing the Bazoum regime.
Well, at the moment, President Bazoum has a wider support, has wider goodwill and support within West Africa and outside of West Africa. So all international actors, would have support for him. So of course, he knows this very well. But at the moment where he is, he has very, very limited personal options to make in terms of his, his freedom. And so he's counting on regional actors and world leaders to be able to negotiate for his release and possible installation as the president of Burkina Faso, of Niger. But as it is now, he has very, very limited options. And we don't know whether these military leaders are seeking to use him as, as a negotiation tool to engage with the ECOWAS, which is what it seems it is. It's going to be a situation of using him as a tool to negotiate with ECOWAS, because we hear through different channels that they are threatening, killing him if ECOWAS intervenes by way of military. And that is a very worrying situation for everyone, and we should not, get to that point.
Is it all over for Bazoum? That's the biggest question.
It is very tricky at the moment. We don't know how things will turn out from now. But if you look at the possible situations, we just had Ambassador Musa announce that there has been some news from the military leaders that they are willing to engage. And that can completely change the dynamic that we are looking at. That can completely, move us from the obsession with military option to diplomatic, option. And that can easily lead to the release of President Bazoum. And I can tell you, on the table of ECOWAS and all actors in terms of looking at the situation in Niger, number one priority is to release President Bazoum to secure his safety and decide other elements of engagement in Niger. And so that could be a good, situation for him.
I see.
Yeah.
But then the sub-regional body ECOWAS, it's time for introspection, isn't it? Knowing that, well, you're a body that has over 5 of your members experiencing, a coup d'etat situation in just the last 3 years. What are some of the reforms to consider from the position of ECOWAS, the immediate needs of the sub-regional body and some of the reforms that ought to take place immediately?
Yes, of course, clearly. ECOWAS knows at the moment, unfortunately, ECOWAS is in a very complex situation, in a very difficult situation, because in one breath, ECOWAS is in a very weak situation right now, because if you look at the last 3 years, the things that have happened within the sub-region, ECOWAS's responses have been very, very traditional and, have been very, very ineffective at reversing the trends in those countries. And so ECOWAS came under huge backlash from the local population and even international actors. And so they are coming from a position of weakness. What do we do moving forward? And that explains why we have seen a different element of measures in dealing with the situation of Niger. The inclusion of no-fly zone, the option of military intervention is to show ECOWAS, project ECOWAS as biting enough to deal with regional security problems. But at the same time, we have to look at the past. What led us to this point? ECOWAS missed a lot of opportunities in the past to reform, to tool itself capable of ensuring successful, dealing with security situations within the sub-region. Today, we do not have any matrix in terms of, indices, in terms of good governance. This is key to ensuring that ECOWAS can proactively intervene in situations that prevents us from getting to the situation that Niger is in right now. The entire West African space is replete with countries that are challenged in terms of governance, in terms of the quality of leadership, in terms of democracy. All these factors are glossed over because, the superiors, the people who champion and commandeer ECOWAS are the beneficiaries of what the status quo is. If we are bold enough with technocrats within ECOWAS, be able to design a kind of matrix that measures the health of governance in all these countries, you can't tell where we are crossing a red line, and ECOWAS should have a mechanism to intervene before we get to situations of coups. Today, the conversations are that we should have the situation, we should have mechanisms that prevents us from getting to coup situations. ECOWAS is not talking about how did we get here? What are the factors that led us to this place? This is important to prevent future occurrences of Niger that we are dealing with.
Okay, so let's get to it then. How many more of them are we likely to experience? I was speaking to Emmanuel Kwesi-Bajora, a member of the ECOWAS Parliament. He says the briefing they have, and that's based on ECOWAS' own early warning mechanism and intelligence, that there's the likelihood of 2 more coup d'etats before the end of the year.
Well, I'm not excited about the predictions, but I do not have anything to dismiss those predictions because I can actually see there are 2 or 3 countries that are as vulnerable as these countries that we're looking at. And they are vulnerable to the extent that this could happen even before the year and within a year. You just heard Ambassador Musa mention that, happily, that, Guinea has joined the meeting. Guinea has come to join in the meeting. And so there's wider support for the kind of exercise that is going on here. But it's understandable that Guinea would want to be part of this. Guinea is a very vulnerable, space. It's a very vulnerable space.
I think in the whole of the West Africa sub-region, highest rate of coup d'etat.
Exactly.
Right.
So they
don't have an option.
Yeah, they do not just want to. They must be part of this kind of initiatives to ensure that they are insulated from potential coup situations. And so those things, are realities that we have to look at. There's, other elements within the sub-region that we have to, be very, very, very worried about. And it doesn't help because right now we're talking about reinstalling President Bazoum. And what next? And so what would happen after that?
Afterwards.
Does it end coups in West Africa? No. Coups will continue to happen as long as we continue to let leadership of this region focus on power and not the people. And that's what we see happening all over the space. We need to begin to measure the quality of governance, the quality of democracy, the democracy we are practicing. Is it reflective of the aspirations and the local realities within this context? No. If it is no, how do we retool the democratic system tool that we're using as a channel for governance? We have to begin that conversation in a very, very serious way, in a manner that ensures that we prevent coups from happening in this space.
Okay, and that Mukhtar Mumuni Mukhtar, Executive Director for the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism. We're still at Burma camp. We're just waiting for that announcement from ECOWAS to tell us what the outcome of that meeting has been amongst the chiefs of defense staff drawn from West African countries. We're also awaiting perhaps some very final comments from Ghanaian officials. Ghana has made its position clear. If the regional body decides to go ahead with the deployment of their troops for the ECOWAS standby force. We're just waiting for what possibly the outcome may be. But we're also, monitoring the developments and waiting to see if there would be any categorical statement on the deployment of forces. In the last few hours, a lot has changed, including the, indication we're just getting from Ambassador Fatal Musa, who's pointing out to us that the indication they are getting from the Nigerian junta is that they are willing now to talk. Initially, ECOWAS said they were repelled by the military regime in Niger, a reason for which they are meeting in Accra today to strategize on the operational methods for that deployment. Now, though, a lot has changed, and we're waiting, obviously, to see what the outcome will be. Mukhtar is still with us. And Mukhtar, the issue about returning the other military regimes to democracy. Everyone now is talking about Niger, but the challenge actually is that you have 3 more countries that the sub-region has to grapple with. There's Mali, there's Guinea, Conakry, there's also Burkina Faso. All of these countries have military dictatorship. That's the fact, actually. Why are we not talking about them jointly with the situation in Niger?
See, it appears that ECOWAS seem to have accepted that this has happened and that we need to work with them to ensure that the timelines that they're working with is implemented. And so there's very little anxiety over what it is that is going on in those countries. But in actual fact, from where I sit, in terms of the work we do in counterterrorism in West Africa, this military leadership, military regimes that have been, they have replaced, their government are not any better than the previous governments that were in place. Burkina Faso came into this space, because they thought that the leadership at the time was ineffective, was appalled, very, very, ineffective at dealing with terrorism. They took over. Terrorism didn't reduce. The fatality numbers went up, attacks went up. Same way with, with the situation of Mali. The same way with Guinea. Guinea's issues of governance is still a huge challenge to them. In fact, I can tell you, as we speak now, we are set to record the deadliest region for terrorist violence globally by the end of this year. In the last 6 months, from January to June this year, we've had over 1,800 attacks, recording over 4,600 fatalities.
That's quite a lot.
That number is set to beat the peak of terrorist violence in West Africa, which was between 2014 and 2015. And the number was 7,200 fatalities at the time. And that represents the deadliest year for terrorism globally since September 11. Today, we are set to exceed that number by close of the year, which means the current military leadership in place are not doing anything special or anything better than the previous regimes that they replaced. In fact, the situation is getting worse. And I can tell you, in the last 18 months, we have received more refugees from the Sahelian region along in coastal states than we have ever received, apart from the situations of Sierra Leone and Liberian war situations that happened. And that actually puts us in a very, very vulnerable state in terms of our regional security. And that should worry all of us. Look, the issue of military intervention, coups, are not in any way a better replacement for civilian leadership. But at the same time, they come as a result of our poor response to the problems that we deal with. And so it's important that we measure the quality of governance that we have in place, irrespective of whether it's a military kind of leadership or a civilian kind of leadership.
So we're still waiting, and that's all we're doing. But Mukhtar is helping us to understand the dynamics in the West Africa sub-region. It's the reason for which we're here, bringing you the very latest. I'm sure that in a few moments from now, we will be briefed officially on what the fallout of that meeting is, and then we'll call it definitely a day. I see that there are some indications, obviously, that any moment from now, ECOWAS will be briefing, the general public and by extension the sub-region on what it intends to do after today's exercise. You're live on the Joy News channel. Is our special coverage of, the Committee of Chiefs of Defence Staff within the West Africa sub-region. Very shortly, there will be an address, and we'll get to know and find out what the outcome of that meeting is. But just to run you by what's been transpiring over the past 48 hours, just yesterday we had the Defence Minister here, Dominic Nitiwul, joining the Committee of Chiefs of Defence Staff from across the West African sub-region, ECOWAS, and pointing out what their position is on the matter. He made a critical point, and let's talk about Dominic Nitiwul because that's crucial. He made a critical point about the military being loyal to their commanders-in-chief. It does suggest that, that the whole decision to stage a coup has got to do with, the kind of pact or relations that the president will have with his presidential guard, isn't it?
Well, I think that the idea that the military leaders are loyal to their governments or the executive, it's true. I mean, the military leadership within the entire space, largely are loyal to the executive. Because if you look at the coups that have happened in all the four situations that we're looking at, it was the presidential guards that took, undertook these coups and not the, traditional military leadership in place. It tells you that these are individuals around the president who see the rot day in, day out, and see the mess, the plunder, and the corruption and lack of seriousness in terms of dealing with the problems that we're dealing with. And those kinds of situations can move, presidential guards to stage coups like we have seen. The traditional military leadership is in the barracks and providing the security for territorial space for the country. They would always be loyal to the president and the executive team, and that is in order.
But then, for Dominic Nitiwul making and going ahead to say that they need the loyalty to ECOWAS as well, what does ECOWAS require beyond just a simple order from, the president and, the chairperson of the Economic Community of West African States to simply say, get up and go and fight? I guess it's as simple as that, or there's more to it.
Of course, these are matters of war, these are matters of life and death, these are matters of sovereignty, these are matters of generations now and generations yet to come. So you cannot just authorize a war as an individual or a group of people without the consent of the governed. And so you need to resort to your representatives to give you that authorization to be able to engage. And so my understanding is to be able to engage in the war effort in Nigeria, we would need to seek support and approval from our various parliaments to be able to do that, because it involves the commission of resources, the commission of individuals, lives and individuals, to ensure that we achieve what we're looking to achieve in Nigeria. So it wouldn't just come by President Tinubu just authorizing that there should be deployment in Nigeria and that would happen. It has to be with the consent of the government of the entire participating states in this war effort.
Let's talk about your expectation going into that address by ECOWAS. What are some of the common issues you'd want to address at this press briefing that we're about to see?
So I think that this engagement in the last 2 days, the focus is a very specific thing. My thinking is it's not a general engagement about ECOWAS and ECOWAS's role in Niger. It's a specific type of situation. And the objective is, how do we contain the Nigerian situation? The decision to engage militarily in military intervention or otherwise, what are the merits and demerits? And then they come out with a conclusion. This is what we've come up with in terms of engaging or dealing with the situation to return the country back to normalcy. They might have thought about logistics and duration of deployment, timelines of deployment. And so what I expect is, I would want to hear that, look, we have decided that in the interest of the people of Niger and the interest of the people of the entire West African space, the military chiefs have decided that they would intervene if diplomacy fails.
Okay, so let's explore that point two or second plan or plan B, if we could call it that way, that ECOWAS is now seeking to activate once more. It's not as though they've not done that, but they are doing that for the second time. And so let's see what's different now about going in and opting for diplomacy. What will be different now, looking at what's happening?
Well, now there seems to be some sense of goodwill to engage. And so that would sort of, energize the team from ECOWAS and the AU and all the negotiating members to engage. And I'm sure they may want to even vary the members of the team for negotiation. And once we have the first element of engagement, that can set the stage for a long time, a long series of engagement that can lead to a situation that we are expecting to see, return the country to democratic rule. I think the first meeting is important, and this is the appropriate time. Once you have the signal that they are waiting, they are ready to engage, and we want to see that happen.
Is there anything that Ghanaians would have to know generally about all that's happening today, and specifically from the position of the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism? A message either of solidarity or of peace, if you want to put that across?
Yes, I think that if you look at what is happening or what has happened since yesterday, it projects Ghana as a regional player, an active, effective regional leader in terms of peace and security. And I believe it is not by accident that Ghana has been chosen to host this thing, in spite of how ugly or unpopular a decision to intervene may look. But Ghana, actually, it's projected in a very positive way in terms of regional leadership for peace and security. So all of us must feel good about the fact that Ghana is seen in that light. But at the same time, all of us must play a role in the decisions that we make, especially decisions that have encompassing impact on all of us. We have to contribute positively to ensuring that we will continue to deepen Ghana's image as a positive regional leader in peace and security. Wars in all its forms, are not good I come from a human security perspective. And so if we can do anything to stop or prevent a war situation, a military intervention situation in Niger, we have to do that. And citizens need to speak up. Citizens need to, lay before, the public what their views are on this thing to ensure that we prevent a war situation from happening. Other than that, we are not tooled in any way to deal with the consequences of having a military intervention. Our governments are not tooled to deal with it. Our local population are not psyched and tooled to handle situations like that. There's no blueprint anywhere within ECOWAS that shows that we can effectively deal with the consequences of a military intervention. It is only a necessity that they may, should be able to do this.
It's been a long day. Mukhtar Momoni Mukhtar, Executive Director for the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism. Thank you for spending some time with us today. It appears that any moment from now we'll be expecting that address, which we'll bring to you live on the Joy News channel. But we're first of all wrapping up with the polls here on the Joy News channel, and then we'll keep our eyes on the engagements happening here at the Burma Hall, here at the military headquarters, where we're experiencing, of course, the very first of its kind in a very long time, where chiefs of defense staff from across the West Africa sub-region will be meeting to dialogue on operationalizing or activating a standby force. So that's been the concern here, but we'll keep our eyes on developments happening here at Burma Hall and bring you updates subsequently in our bulletins. Bless us, of course, together with the team here at the Burma Hall, bringing to you a special package of the polls. And thanks to the team, both here and back in the studio, for supporting the process.